Hi ladies and gentlemen, this is Luke and welcome back to Geek on Culture. In this episode we'll be taking an in-depth look on how Disney is planning on retconning their biggest mistake that they have made with the Star Wars trilogy. Now, it is safe to say that the sequel trilogy has divided a lot of fans like nothing else can. It split a once very strong fandom, splintering it so badly that now fans attack other fans just for having an opinion. Now, I'm not disparaging anyone who likes those movies. Personally, I found The Force Awakens mildly amusing, but I found The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker to be the biggest insult to the fans that I have ever seen. Kathleen Kennedy and her two cronies, Jar Jar Abrams and Ruin Johnson, took what Star Wars was and perverted it into a woke mess that cared more about virtue signalling than actually producing a solid Star Wars movie. I remember watching The Rise of Skywalker in the cinema, looking over at my wife, who was luckily for her fast asleep. She never got to see the disgrace of what that film had become. She never got to see the amazing Wonder Ray force lightning the shit out of a ship. She never got to see the Emperor force lightning a whole fleet. I left that cinema with my head in my hands, and I could not believe what they have done to the franchise, what they had done to Luke. Yet even during the darkest night the light must rise, and like that fabled light, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni brought forth The Mandalorian and Baby Yoda. I watched the first season of The Mandalorian with a little bit of slither of ice in my heart. For as much as I loved the show and the characters, I knew that eventually it would lead into the sequel trilogy. And then I watched season 2. And that slither of ice melted the moment I saw Luke Skywalker, Jedi Knight. My heart began to race when I realised who that cloaked figure was, but there were questions that needed answering. How did this Jedi Knight turn into a green milk-sucking coward that we saw in The Last Jedi? The answer, my friends, is simple. He didn't. Word has been leaked from Disney that Filoni and Favreau filmed the Luke scenes without the knowledge of Kathleen Kennedy and her ilk, that they have deliberately caused a confrontation between The Mandalorian and Kathleen Kennedy's Star Wars Christmas sequel. According to a whistleblower going by the name of DWD Pro, they have said, and I quote, "Star Wars The High Republic is launching and the response has been underwhelming for Lucasfilm. Now the blame game has begun as the mega story limps out of the gate, and the prime target for blame is Jon Favreau, for the perception that he has enabled what people inside Lucasfilm view as a toxic demographic. More importantly, Luke Skywalker has emboldened one part of a divided audience." See, this is what Kathleen Kennedy and her crew think of the fans. They think of us as nothing more than toxic as we fight to save Star Wars and pop culture. And even though all of our arguments are based on fact that they provided us with an overpowered hero in Rey that had no character flaws and was already the best at absolutely everything in The Force Awakens, they still class us as toxic. DWD Pro continues to say, "Sources tell me that inside Lucasfilm Story Group that has been heavily involved in the development of the High Republic is frustrated for several reasons. First, the reveal of Luke Skywalker in the finale of The Mandalorian second season took all the oxygen out of the High Republic. Who cares about the High Republic if they're all wondering what happened with Luke and his new Padawan Grogu? Worse, I'm told they are furious because they weren't informed about Luke Skywalker being the season's send-off surprise. The people working on High Republic had no idea that Favreau and Filoni would be driving the fan base into hyperdrive just before launching a new sub-property that is significantly different. This sort of explains why they struck out at the fan base reaction publicly. Now this shows what I said in my previous episode is true. There is a civil war at Lucasfilm and the sides are being drawn. Favreau and Filoni have backing of most of Disney now, and more importantly, they have the fans. The source inside Disney also claims that Luke Skywalker was kept a secret from almost everyone at Lucasfilm, has sent a message loud and clear. Favreau is in charge of The Mandalorian and every spin-off series and film that comes from it, and Favreau is in charge of the only Star Wars that us fans care about. There are no more consultations with Lucasfilm needed in the future. He and Filoni are in the driver's seat. And this brings me to the titles of this video. How Favreau and Filoni are looking to the past to change the direction of Star Wars. And how, if you look closely, they've already started dropping the hints. If we take a look at the recent investor call that Disney did, where Kathleen Kennedy announced all the new shows that are coming to Disney Plus, as well as a few movies, you can see this little Ahsoka title card. But what a lot of fans haven't noticed is this pattern around the edge alludes to the Veil of the Force. Now what is the Veil of the Force, I hear you ask? Well, this is the method that Filoni and Favreau have chosen to take down Kathleen Kennedy's woke madness that is the sequel trilogy. The Veil of the Force is a world, or the world between worlds as it's otherwise known, is a place that links all time and space as well as alternate realities. Now that is the important bit, alternate realities. Now it is rumoured that there is a deleted scene in The Mandalorian, a scene that will change the shape of Star Wars for years to come. In this scene, when the Mandalorian leaves with Grogu after seeing what the little guy can do, as Ahsoka watches the Mandalorian walk away, she hears a familiar voice call from behind. "My, you've grown." That voice is Anakin Skywalker's. She turns, he calls her Snips, she defers to him as Master Skywalker, and after a moment of banter, Anakin turns the direction of Baby Yoda and says, "The Force is strong with that one." Ahsoka says, "Yes, the Mandalorian wants me to train him." And then Anakin says, "No, that is not your path. Tell the Mandalorian to take him to an old Jedi temple. There, his master will contact him. Ahsoka, you have already changed so much. It's time for you to continue on your path." She then says, "His master, is that the one that destroyed the Empire?" Anakin says, "Yes." Ahsoka says, "Your son?" Anakin simply replies, "Yes." Now what path did Anakin mean? It's rumoured by the leaker that Ahsoka will find Ezra Bridger, a character that was first introduced in the animated show of Star Wars Rebels, and that he and Ahsoka will enter the Veil of the Force to stop the Emperor using it to survive his death in Return of the Jedi. We already know that Ahsoka is hunting for Admiral Thrawn, and why is that? Well, the last that we saw of both Admiral Thrawn and Ezra Bridger was when on his Star Destroyer, when Ezra used creatures called Purrgil that can travel through hyperspace and took himself, Thrawn, and the Star Destroyer to another part of the galaxy. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is big news. If this rumour is to believe, then I for one do believe it, as DWD Pro has been proven to be correct on multiple occasions in the last 2 years. This means a dramatic shift in Lucasfilm. Gone are the identity politics of Kathleen Kennedy's stories. Gone are the boring two-dimensional characters that she gave us. This is another reason why I think this link is true. More obvious than any other reason. Disney is a company like any other, and they like money like any other, and the fans have shown their displeasure of Disney by not watching their woke crap on Disney+, but more importantly, by not buying the merchandise. But the merch for The Mandalorian has been flying off the shelf, and when the last episode of Season 2 landed, the servers for Disney Plus crashed, as they were not expecting that many people to watch it. Now yes, they have lost a lot of subscribers thanks to the Gina Carano situation, but the fans are still there. The fans are still hungry. Disney needs Star Wars more than ever right now, with losses thanks to COVID as well as losses on titles like Mulan and Galaxy's Edge. Luke Skywalker has become a lifeline for Disney, one they cannot afford to cast away. Disney has been foolish when it comes to Star Wars. They have been arrogant. They were vile to the fans, but now, like always, they need the fans. They need the love that only us fans can give them. And if they do go down this path that has been rumoured, I would consider it a formal apology for their actions, and I will work to forgive. But I will never forget. We fans need to remain strong and vocal. The more we say, the more they will have to listen. Only time will tell if Disney do listen. Thank you for listening, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please give it a like and consider subscribing. I will always try and bring you the latest news on pop culture with some of my other videos sprinkled in between. So from SETI Alpha 5 all the way to Epsilon 3, this has been Luke from Geek on Culture. See you next time, guys.